So $8 a month. That's your plan. $8. You guys believe this? All right. Well, I'll tell them. So, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So we're talking about Elon Musk and Twitter. It turns out, I'll show you this here, is they're rolling out the $8 a month plan. And they have the details on the App Store. I was just looking at that this morning, just waking up. This is in Korea time. It's right here. You guys can see it. Starting today, we're adding great new features to Twitter and have more on the way soon. Get Twitter Blue for $7.99 a month if you sign up now. Blue checkmark. Power to the people. Your account will be a blue checkmark just like celebrities, companies, and politicians you already follow. So one of the things about this, which I have a problem with, is that, for say a celebrity has a blue check mark, now that anyone can buy it for $7.99, it basically reduces the value of said thing because anyone can get it now. So it basically just says, hey, I paid $8. The other thing is too, read this detail, it's kind of interesting. Coming soon, half the ads and much better ones. I'm laughing because coming soon, so you're going to pay the $8 a month and you're going to get half the ads because frankly, half the advertisers have left Twitter and maybe more are leaving on the way. So this is kind of funny when you actually sit down and think about that. So, and much better ones, which I think is kind of interesting. I'm not quite sure what that means, that you could have better ads. And also too, if someone is paying for said service, I'm pretty sure people don't want ads. And I'll be curious if you guys agree or disagree. Like if you pay for Netflix, if you pay for the YouTube premium, do you want ads, right? And essentially they're saying, well, you're going to pay for Twitter, but you're still going to have ads, although half of them, because again, half our advertisers have left. However, you're doing this. Why are you doing this? Because since you're supporting Twitter in the battle against bots, we're going to reward you with half the ads and make them twice as relevant. And the twice as relevant thing is, this is very real, guys. Basically means, and this is for any social media company, is we're collecting your data so we know more about you and what you like. And so, yeah, I get it. I'm just making a joke about it because I want you to understand is like that's how social media makes relevant by looking at your actions and data. So it just, the whole thing of when you're paying for money for them to use your data, it just seems kind of strange to me, a bit off. Here's one thing. Post longer videos. You'll be able to post longer videos to Twitter. So I think that's a reasonable feature. I don't know if people would pay for that. I do the YouTube every day. It doesn't cost me any money to post on YouTube. So I think that's a tough sell, but I get what they're going for here. Another one. Priority ranking for quality content. Your content will get priority ranking replies, mentions, and search. This helps lower the visibility of scams, spam, and bots. So I have a couple things to say about this. So one is, if you take a look at TikTok's model or Facebook's model, they basically, or Instagram is also Facebook, they basically convince regular people to pay money to promote posts. Now, my understanding is on YouTube, I can't do that. Like even if I wanted to spend $1 million on one YouTube post, that doesn't necessarily get my video to rank higher. Whereas say like a TikTok or Facebook, it does. Now, Twitter is interesting because they're saying you pay a monthly fee and your tweets will rank higher. So essentially advertising, offering you to advertise your social media for a price. Now Twitter, if I were Twitter, I'm just sharing with you, I would say, hey, pay me money for each post, for each tweet, and you can make more. And Elon Musk, if you're listening, if you want to make more money, try that model, and people will pay for that. Now the thing is though, where I have the problem is that I just think TikTok, YouTube, I think video, these kind of things are going to be way more viewed or way more popular than something like Twitter. And I get it, they're different platforms. So someone say, well, Twitter's a bit better because it's text and you can read it quickly. Yeah, and it's different. But I just think we're in the world of video these days. And I'd rather see my favorite star, well, to say, for example, The Rock, tweet out something, right? Than tweet out a video is what I'm saying. Tweet out a video or, TikTok a video or YouTube a video opposed to just reading text. But, who knows? The other thing too, which I think, yeah, you know what, now I'm talking about with you guys. The other thing too, which I think is really different about, say, like a Twitter opposed to, let's use an example of YouTube or TikTok, is that I can literally see, say, The Rock, right, Dwayne Johnson, talking to me personally, and I know it's him, opposed to, this is very real, in some cases, the Twitter accounts are essentially managed by the PR team, right? It's not really the real person talking. And yes, The Rock could be reading from a script, but at least Rock, you can fool me for today. So I do think this is something that to consider, is that essentially Twitter is saying, hey, pay money and you'll be more visible. But I think they could go to the route of Facebook or Instagram. And it's interesting because, Musk is out there just pitching this thing for $8 a month, and he's really turned it into like a political campaign and stuff like that. And what bothers me about this is that, and sort of why I want to talk with you guys about this today, is the Twitter, people now are backed by the Tesla pumpers, and you got this weird convergence of just like, free speechers. We'll call them free speechers. And also, not that I hate free speech, guys. I just want to keep that very real. But I think the problem with the whole free speech thing on Twitter is the reality of Twitter is just a whole bunch of bots and spam and inappropriate content for work. And this idea that suddenly, paying this money will fix that, I just think it's not necessarily the case. And I think a lot of these things are being misrepresented. The other thing is, too, is it reminds me of this sort of app on the App Store that was there for a while. And this was like there for like a day. This was like $1,000 app. I'm being real. This is on the iPhone, $1,000. And it was called I Am Rich. And basically, you would pay for this app, and I think six people bought it, and it would tell you in text, I am rich, I deserve it, I am good, healthy, and successful. It's called the I Am Rich app. And, Twitter's kind of becoming like that, the same way that, Facebook and TikTok are. If you're willing to pay money, you can boost your posts. Now, the advertisers are leaving. General Mills is leaving. There's other companies that have announced it as well. I think Mondelez is another big one that was leaving. I want to say that HBO had paused theirs as well. And the other thing is there's been executives are coming out and, former employees essentially are saying Musk doesn't know what he's doing. This is a executive who ran the European division of Twitter. So someone who was at Twitter for 5 years, so would know the company, right? And you can read it here. Bruce Daly, Twitter's vice president for Europe, right? He's saying, I think Elon thought he was going to come in and solve everything, and very quickly he's going to work out that it's far more complicated. It's pretty evident from public action that he's taken this whole acquisition. He doesn't know what he's doing. And, it's funny because this whole fiasco that we're watching right now reminds me of what we saw with Lehman Brothers. Now, there's a couple of distinctions. So one is, if you don't know Lehman Brothers, it was 08, 09. Basically, all these people were leaving the office after it was the whole collapse of the financial system. And the one thing that I want to talk with you guys about is that, say, in the dot-com bubble or 08, 09, people did have shame. They know they were liars. They know they were cheating people. But there is a bit of shame there. Today's world, I don't think the shame is there. It's a very different world right now. And like, for example, going back to the Musk thing, he's saying, hey, I bought this Twitter thing. They're losing $4 million a day. Give me give me $8 a month to help me save this thing. Like, there's no shame. Like, you don't want to admit you made a mistake in buying this thing, even though you tried to get out of said deal, and now you're just trying to get people to give you money to get out of it. And it's interesting because it reminds me of like the ARK fund. This is the last 5 years. This is a Cathie Woods thing. They're only up, 1.5% in 5 years, which is horrible. But it basically, if you look at the chart, it's basically a bubble. You can see it. We can all see it. Went up, it went right back down. And these people have no shame. Cathie Wood here, she created a new fund. Read the headline here. Cathie Wood's new ARK Invest venture capital funds feature Elon Musk Twitter as the biggest holding and a lot of risk. Like, these people, they have no shame. And I think what bothers me about this whole thing, and you guys, I was a professor for 10 years, is one of the things that I work on with students is, and this is sort of why we're talking about, say, the Twitter thing, is this is a great business case. This is going to be studied for, generations down the road of like, what signaled the end of the stimulus check bubble? What signaled the end of the crypto Bitcoin ARK Invest bubble? We're going to be studying these things for years to come. And one thing that I would say is that these people have no shame. Now, I get it. There's people out there who say, well, Chris, Cathie Wood's just doing her job. You're just stupid, Chris. You're just jealous of Cathie Wood. You don't know what you're talking about. And I get that perspective, right? For many people out there, this is kind of like a hustler mentality, is that I don't care about other people. I don't care about telling the truth. I just want to make money. That's all that matters. And that makes me feel really uncomfortable, that kind of mentality. I think the world is more, there's more out there in the world than just making a bunch of money and trying to cheat the most people that you can. That's my opinion. That's what I teach in the classroom. I can get it. I get it. You see, people on TV and your Kanye West or your Kardashian, they may have a different view of the world. But I just don't prescribe to that. And unfortunately, I think there's a generation of people, and I see them on the social media all the time, right? They're just a bunch of Tesla pumpers and stuff like that. And the way that these things work is, like, if I make a YouTube channel and I just play Elon Musk quotes all day and Cathie Wood quotes all day, people will write in the comments, oh, I'm so inspired by Cathie Wood and Elon Musk, and I want to be just like them. and they're my heroes, etc. And I think this sort of idol worshiping thing is a real problem, because oftentimes people like your Elon Musk or your Cathie Wood, sort of what we're going through right now is really exposing who these people really are, right? The thing that sort of bothers me is when you're unequivocally proven wrong with, they say, the Cathie Wood thing, for example, that you basically represented the bubble, and you act like you didn't. Like I can read a chart with my own eyes. I can see it, right? You're doing an investment fund, and your fund's basically flat the last 5 years. And her answer is like, well, we're just going to double down on Twitter. That's what we're going to invest in, because Twitter's the future. Or she'll tell people, and she did it just yesterday, was like, Bitcoin's going to go to $1 million. You just have to wait, 7 years. It's going to do it.
You may not like this thing called Bitcoin. It may sound like a Ponzi scheme to you. Lower the correlation of the returns. And Bitcoin is doing that. And we think other crypto assets.
And your team's holding on to the $1 million forecast?
Oh, yes, more than $1 million.
Above $1 million?
Yes.
By 2030?
2030. And
it's like, I don't know how many true believers are on the internet, or if those people are opposers and bots. Like when you read comments on YouTube, you don't know for sure if that's a fake person, because there are fake people all over YouTube, and you'll see the comments every day. Like there's fake people. There might be people also too who are posers, meaning that someone who bought Bitcoin at say 70,000, and they're just trying to convince other people to keep buying because they're stressing out every day because they bought too high. Or people who actually really believe Bitcoin's going to go to $1 million by 2030, according to Cathie Wood, right? These kind of things. And so I think what's hurtful or harmful about social media is you have these pumper people out there who convince vulnerable people. And what do I mean by that? And I mentioned this before, and these are the kind of things that happen in your life, these events that you'll never forget, and I'll just share it with you. I'm going to keep mentioning it because it was a really important event. I made a video about Larry Jones, Kenny Gray, Stockmo. These are all scammers. And there was a comment, and comments like, "Oh, Chris, you're so stupid, you're so dumb. Larry Jones, he knows everything." And clicked on the profile, and it was a kid. It was like a 12-year-old kid, and I'm not making it up. And it made me realize of like, oh my God, this is sort of what we're talking about when we talk about vulnerable people. Is these, be it your ARKs, or be it your Larry Jones, doesn't matter, be it your Meet Kevins, be it your Elon Musk, they put out these messages that can be very attractive to young, vulnerable people. And people can buy all into this thing, right? People can buy into the bubble, the ARK Invest bubble, and get really hurt by these people. People can buy all into the, I'm going to give Elon Musk, $50 a month or whatever, and stuff like that. Or I'm going to essentially buy Tesla stock at the highest while Elon Musk is selling, right? Do you guys understand what's going on here? And people get scammed and hurt by these things. And not only that, then they, like in this day and age, in this world that we live in now, they don't want to admit that they're wrong, and essentially this no shame. It's like this whole world is like no shame. It's such a strange thing that we live in. That's why when I tell you guys over and over again, I lived through .com bubble, I lived through 2009. I lost money on some of my investments, and you never forget these kind of things. You never forget these kind of things. You learn from it and you move on. But in today's world, I feel like there are people out there that haven't learned or don't learn or refuse to learn. And in fact, they wear that with a badge of pride that I'm not going to learn. It reminds me of sort of like in terms of our political world. Just for example, we have a political candidate, and we have to mention Trump because I think this relates to our whole culture. He literally comes out every day and says, "Hey guys, we're going to build a wall between us and Mexico, and Mexico, and Mexico is going to pay for it," right? And just think about how ludicrous that thing is, and think about any number of things that Trump has said. But I just bring this up because like that is a provably factual thing that didn't happen. Like you can prove it, say like, hey, there's no wall, Mexico didn't pay for it, etc. And people are going to be like, "Oh, Chris, you're so dumb. You're just hating on Trump. Mexico paid for everything." And it's like, I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. The same way that like when Cathie Wood is saying, "Oh, I'm the best investor of all time. Just give me money and Bitcoin's going to go to $1 million," right? That's literally what she's saying. And now she's trying to pump up Twitter and stuff like that. And Elon Musk is trying to save this essentially dying company. I just think it's going to be a big blow up, and that's why I mentioned the Lehman's thing. We're going to look back in history, and whenever this whole thing blows over, this will signal the bottom. When the whole crypto thing, and now when Tesla blows up and Twitter blows up, this will probably signal the bottom. Now, I don't know how far we are from that. It could be, who knows? I don't know. It could be a couple months, could be a year, who knows? The other thing too, which I'll mention as well, is even though we may hit bottom, right, and it could be soon, it may be a long time to recover, and not everything will come back. And I really want to repeat that. Not everything will come back. So even though, yes, the ARK investing went right crazy, this thing may never come back again. There was a video I made a while ago called about ARK Invest and Janus, and the basic comparison was like, did Janus never come back? And I'll put a link to that if you guys want to watch that. But just have some humility in life. Know when you're beaten, know when you're wrong. And don't get suckered in by all these pumper people. And they're all over YouTube. And yes, I get it, guys. Cathie Wood's famous. I get it. I'm not stupid. I know that. But I also know when, like, just because someone's famous and just because they have a lot of Twitter followers and stuff doesn't mean they're telling you the truth. And I think that's kind of a valuable lesson. And you'll see this again. I'll give you another example because I read these things in comments. They'll say, oh, Chris, you're so stupid. You only have XX subscribers. Look at this other person. They have 1 million subscribers. What do you know anything? I trust the person with 1 million subscribers. And I just want you to ask yourself this question. Does having a bunch of followers on, say, Twitter or Facebook, does having lots of money, like Cathie Wood, for example, does that make you right? And you have to decide for yourself which world you want to believe in. So hopefully this is interesting and helpful for you. And love to hear your thoughts on these kind of things. And I'll catch you in the next video.
You may not like this thing called Bitcoin. It may sound like a Ponzi scheme to you. Lower the correlation of the returns. And Bitcoin is doing that. And we think other crypto assets
And your
will
team's
as
holding
well.
on to the $1 million forecast.
Oh yes, more than 1 million.
Above 1 million
Yes.
by 2030.
2030. And